Welcome back, y'all. Welcome to a new episode of Hoops with JV. Happy New Year to you guys. It's been a while. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, New
Happy
Year.
New Year. Yeah,
Yeah,
doing fucking great.
shoot.
Making good to see you guys again, man.
I
Holy
know, me
shit.
too. Likewise, man. It's been a good minute. Which is kind of good because we kind of get a chance for our like predictions to like see if it comes afloat. In transition real life. So it's kind of good that we kind of got that little break. Everyone good? Everyone's all good? Everyone's ready to
Oh
get
yeah.
started?
Yep.
Yep. You guys been following it ever since the last time we spoke?
Here and there, because I've
And
been been busy, but I've been keeping updated. You know
nah,
what I
it's all
mean?
good. All good. It's all good. As long as all good, man. Um, so today's topics we're going to discuss is Trey Young. For starters, we'll talk about the East for a bit. So Trey Young heading to the Wizards. And then in exchange, CJ McCollum is out of there to the Hawks. Also, with the trade deadline coming up, there's also like rumors about is John Morant out the door? Is Giannis out the door? We'll get into that later. Boston Celtics as well, making their way up from the bottom of the East all the way to top four. Um, with Jalen carrying, so we'll talk about that too. Giannis coming back from injury, and I'm not sure if you guys seen today's game against the Lakers. With him
Yeah.
being back, can they make like a playoff berth despite the struggles? And then over to the West, we'll talk about what's going on with OKC, what's happening with the struggles. I think ever since the Cup, they've kind of lost their way. Um, and the Clippers, like LA Clippers, ever since the drama with Chris Paul, Kawhi's just said screw it, screw everything. Let's get some wins. So they're making their way up as well. And then we'll also talk about like I said earlier before, like compared to what we predicted last season, how has it transpired now? Would you change your decisions, or are you still keeping your predictions afloat? But yeah, before we get into that, I just want to say welcome back, and to those that are watching, sorry for the for the long break. And yeah, thank you for continuing to like and support what we do, and yeah, share the love around. I like to get a lot of people involved. So yeah, let's get it popping. So there, we'll start off with the first thing. So a few games ago or a few days ago, the Atlanta Hawks sent Trey Young to the Wizards in exchange for CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, and then like I think like a round pick or something like that. Um, and
Yeah.
since that move, how do you guys feel about that move? I know it's just it's like a low market type for both teams, but Trey Young is amazing. So well, I think I'll start off with you.
Okay. Well, for me personally, I think with this move, it comes. I think it comes as a surprise to many. Like I know with some fans and analysts that they're questioning the value of the deal for Atlanta Hawks because like Trae Young is a four-time NBA All-Star, and he has been with Hawks since I think 2018.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he was considered the face of the franchise. So I feel the same way. Like why Trae Young, man, for CJ McCollum and
Corey
Corey
Kispert.
Kispert. Yeah. Just for me, it's just the price.
That's all good. What about you?
And
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing to say. Nah, I'm kidding. Um, yeah. With first off, I feel like it was a good move for the Atlanta Hawks to move Trey Young. Considering the fact that they weren't winning as much, and then when Trey Young went down, well, the Hawks came back up. Like they were playing so well with Jalen Johnson and Nickel,
Nickel
Alexander
Walker.
Walker.
Yeah.
Yep, like they've been playing great this year. Like especially Nikel, like I wish the Timberwolves didn't let go of him, but then again, he wouldn't develop to the player he is right now if he wasn't, on the Atlanta Hawks. Um, but aside from that, I see as a win-win trade for both teams. With Atlanta Hawks, they get an all-star, and they get rid of a veteran player. Like since Washington's a young team, along with Alex Sarr. But yeah, I wish they didn't include Corey Kispert, who's a really good three-point shooter for the team. But aside from that, for the Atlanta Hawks, well, I mean, they were able to get rid of the point guard issue. They get someone who's known for being a really good perimeter shooter and who's also been a really good voice to the locker room, which is CJ McCollum. I mean, you've seen him throughout the years. He's scoring machine. Talent is always there and has always been there. I feel like now the Atlanta Hawks is a playoff team as of now. But the way I see it, the reason why Trae Young selected Washington as his preferred destination, which shocked everyone around the earth. Like, I mean, like, who would want to go to Washington? Yeah, it's a big market, but the team itself is made up of young players who are not guided by the right veterans or the right coaching staff, And like looking at throughout the years, they've just been completely a hopeless team. So to see Trae Young go to that type of market, it kind of just gives me that vibe where he wants to be the face of the team, where he's going to be able to, facilitate, make his own decisions. Like for one example is Michael Porter Jr. with the Nets. You know how he departed from Denver, and all of a sudden he came to the Brooklyn Nets. You know how everyone expecting Cam Thomas to finally go off this year after getting rid of Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges out of the picture. Like Cam Johnson just. I'm sorry, Cam Thomas. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
Cam Thomas just declining.
yeah. No, I agree.
He's just been nowhere to be found. He's the top junior. Yeah, his numbers are increasing. Like, he gets to be the player he wants to be on this team. And my tell, like, that's how I see the situation in Washington. Face the franchise, and he doesn't have that much of a talent around him to outshadow him. Because like in Atlanta, you can finally see that Jalen Johnson was being, well, or what not being, but he was starting to become the face of the franchise. He was a promising developing player for the team. I mean, you've seen these numbers, like this season. Like there are multiple games where he had triple doubles, multiple games where he had double like 20 rebounds, 20 this season. So like I wouldn't, I wouldn't think of not trading Trae Young, knowing that I get to keep this type of player, and knowing how much Trae Young's getting off the Atlanta Hawks gives them more cap space for next season, or for the for the trade deadline if they can just sign another big player to come into their team and develop from there on. So yeah, that's my take on the Washington Wizards. It's a win-win for both teams. I'm just really excited to see how things go off from here. But for the Atlanta Hawks, they're definitely going to become a playoff team from here.
Yeah. No, awesome. Yeah, I agree. To both of your points. Yeah, I did. I said in the start that they were going to be one of the top in the East because of what happened with Indiana and Boston at the start of the season, or late of last season till now. They were going to be a top, but I agree. I think they'll be a part of the playoff pictures. The reason why I brought up this team is because even though they're both low market teams, it's the fact that Trae Young stands out because he's that high caliber superstar.
Yep.
It was kind of unexpected for me when he got traded. I didn't realize that there was a lot of clashing in the team. But to piggyback on your point, I do agree that I think they were just lacking that veteran leadership in Atlanta, especially on the floor. I don't think it's the coaching.
Yeah.
I think the coach and the player between Trae Young and I forgot his name, the coach of the Hawks. But I think there was some clashing there, so they weren't able to have something executable on the floor. So lucky enough, they had Jalen Johnson stepping up on the offense and creating and being aggressive. Um, and yeah, he's a rising star. I think we all kind of saw that when they drafted him. It's just a shame because like as Trae Young was, even though ignore the injuries, despite him being on just stagnant, Jalen Johnson on a popularity type rate caught up to him. So and it was just unfortunate that they weren't able to mesh and make some noise in the East. I was kind of expecting them to be in the top three because of the acquirements that they had, with Porzingis and Nickel Alexander. But being in Washington, it means that they get to start now. They can from next season on, they can start trying to make some noise, trying to be relevant again outside of the John Wall, Bradley Beal phase. Hopefully they can build something from there. But yeah, with this, I think Atlanta has just gone up, like not dramatically up, but like this helps. This helps them to move forward to being serious contenders, contenders in the East. They still got to beat the other teams like New York and Cleveland and stuff like that. Yeah, I think. Yeah, let's move on. I just wanted to bring that one up because trade season is around the corner, and I feel like ever since Luka last year being traded, I think it's at that point where anyone can be traded if there's tension going on. Like look at John Morant, look at Giannis, those top big names just every day constantly. Are you will you be traded? What team are you looking at? There's stuff like that. So I think come trade deadline, you're gonna see just some random ass names just say what the fuck, and they go on all these random teams, which is kind of exciting, but also it's kind of scary because imagine the team that you're going for. Let's say, for example, knock on wood, let's just say Anthony Edwards, someone here goes for the Wolves and they're going for, Ant, and all of a sudden he gets traded and you're like, oh shit, well, there goes my chances. So those people that are going for their teams, just watch out. All right, let's move on so with the Boston Celtics, at the start, they were losing a lot of games. They were in the bottom of the East, just like we predicted because of the loss of their stars, due to the cap and the loss of Tatum being injured and hopefully coming back. Hopefully, if they make playoffs sometime in the playoffs, they've been Jaylen Brown and the rest of the team have been executing, and then I think a few days ago or even last week they were in the top three, top four in the East, which was amazing to see. I was actually pretty shocked. I will start off with Boston. The reason I said that they were going to be in the bottom because I don't think this is before because I think that Jaylen Brown wasn't, as he talks about leadership and wanting to be that option, like the go-to guy. We weren't seeing that earlier on. Like we were seeing him trying to facilitate, and then the pieces that they acquired in the offseason, like Anthony Simons, Luke Garza, Hugo Fernandez, like all these random names that you guys probably never heard of. We didn't know how they were gonna incorporate because they're young. We don't know what they bring, and then they have a veteran coach in Joe Mazzulla finding ways. I noticed that at the start they were still trying to do what they were doing last season, which is chuck a bunch of threes. But then you kind of see at some point later on, Jaylen Brown just said, "Stop. Let's not do that. Let's stop fucking around. Let's try and get some easy buckets." So I've seen a lot of them attacking the rim now, a lot of jump shooting coming around, which is it's math. So it's good to see that there's a bit of hope in Boston. So with that, Jordan, what do you think about Boston with the way that they're rolling?
For me, Boston, you know what? It truly I really like that Jaylen Brown finally shows why he's worth that much for his contract. And aside from that, say, like, despite getting rid of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, again, you still have your six man coming off the bench. You can be a starter anytime of the day, which is Peyton Pritchard's. Derek White has been playing amazing ball with JB. But Jaylen Brown's just a different beast. Like, fuck, for the past 10 games, he's been averaging for at least 30 or 29 points per game, and that says a lot. Knowing that, it's like the whole Boston team just had a reset this entire season. But yeah, like, looking at it, people should be scared at the fact that Jason Tatum isn't back yet, but still Boston's this good. But the thing is, I have to say for Boston is, they're still missing players on the center position. That's one thing that, I mean, like, most teams do lack on the center position, like Golden State, Lakers, and that's the exact same thing I see for Boston. Like, they're just missing on a decent center or even just a better power forward at least. That's it, and they're a decent team again. But yeah, that's all I have to say for. Actually, wait, sorry, no. There's one more thing I want to say is the fact that how last season Boston was a complete team who just kept chucking up 3-pointers every fucking possession.
Yeah.
This time around, they're playing good ball. Like, I like watching them this season. They're attacking, they're posting up. They're just gonna shoot it when there's like wide open shooter, and they're not the same team they were last year. So I really like the fact that they're entirely, completely different team this year, and it just made me like them again.
I agree. It wasn't fun watching them chuck a lot of threes last season. Like, there was just no appeal to it. There was nothing interesting.
Yeah.
All we could think of was, if they do this in playoffs, sure, they're unbeatable. But if they're not, look what happened. Look at what history had said. Yeah, Uncle Lee, how have you been going with keeping track of Boston? What did you think of how they're going?
Well, for me, in overall, it's for me, it's from my brief point of view is like the Boston Celtics. They're currently on a roll because, as you know, they've just beaten Toronto Raptors.
Yes.
I believe the score is 125 for 117. So that's a good effort there. I think that was on the 9th of January, and they're sitting pretty on second place in the Atlantic Division. With I think it's 24-13 record. So
yes,
the roster is looking good. I like their performance for the time being. They've got their key players. You have Jason Tatum. Actually, I think he's unfortunately sidelined with a
once he's back,
yeah. But you've got you got great players like Jaylen Brown. You got Derek White, Anthony Simons leading the charge. But some notable additions to the team. Also, including I'm watching. If you try to notice, like Chris Boucher, Luka Garza, and Josh Mino, I think they're stepping up. They're making contributions in that. But
yes,
look, the Celtics, they're looking to remain competitive in the East. Especially with Tatum's absence, they're currently scoring points. With the trio of as aforementioned, Simons, White, Brown. They're expected to account for the bulk of the offense. So watch out for these performances. I think they're doing good, man.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I really slept on the Anthony Simons acquisition because it just didn't make sense to have him at the time, because I didn't like, how many shooters do you need? Like, how many point guard shooters do you need? You've already got Derek White. You've already got like Josh Miner, for example. You've got a few players there already. But Joe Mazzulla figured it out, and the more the better. It's just like, to Jordan's point, they just lack more on the forward center position.
Yeah.
Because especially come playoff time, it's all about matchups, and just from eyeballing it, just seeing if the other team's bigger than you, watch out, because everyone in the NBA can shoot. That's all. Like, I would just add. And then speaking of depth now, so we'll move on to the Milwaukee Bucks. So
Yep.
currently with the Milwaukee Bucks, they're currently 17-21. From today's game, we had Giannis back a few games ago when he made his return against the Bulls, and then since then they're still 11th in the East. Um, it, it's pretty tight. Looking at the standings, it's pretty tight. Like from the seventh seed onwards to the 11th, it's like a four game gap.
Mhm.
For the Bucks
Yeah.
to even just make it into the play-in. Um, do you think you go like with him? Do you think they can kick someone out of the East to be in the play-in slash playoffs? I don't think we even go further into the playoffs. Can they make the play-in? Between here are the teams. So we've got Cleveland, we've got Orlando, Atlanta, Chicago. Do you think Milwaukee can kick one of those teams out to slide the Ray in there? Pause.
Yep, the Bulls.
They're gonna have to try really hard.
Yeah,
I think.
they're pretty tied. They're pretty tied. The Bulls and the Bucks. They're
Yeah.
tied at
Yeah.
17. So and the Bulls have
This.
lost three in
Yeah.
a row.
Shit. This season, the Bucks have. They've undergone like significant changes. They parted ways with key players like Damian Lillard and Brook Lopez. But they've acquired Miles Turner,
Yeah, yeah,
Kevin Porter Jr. and Cole Anthony. I think it's kind of troubling because they're aiming to rebuild around Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's like what you said, like we've been discussing before that chemistry. They took away and then now they're rebuilding. It's probably the wrong time. That's my personal opinion.
no, I absolutely agree. It's definitely the wrong time. But I think to be fair, let's like if you look at Chris Middleton for example now, he's kind of not really healthy.
Yeah,
So even if they kept him, they wouldn't have the players that they have now. Like the names that you just mentioned, like they wouldn't have Miles Turner and they wouldn't have Kevin Porter Jr. if because of cap reasons. If not on like hypothetically they had kept Middleton, for example. And it's kind of there's just so much there that's missing. Like I don't like when Miles Turner continues to shoot behind the three ball as a center. I would have
Yep.
loved it if he was attacking the paint. Especially they got lucky today against the Lakers. I'm not gonna lie.
They
Like
did.
if
Fuck.
Giannis didn't, despite the foul trouble, he still managed to find his way. Did you see the ass whooping Giannis gave to every matchup he had because of size?
yeah, yeah.
Size and IQ. And if I'm
He's
Miles,
such
yeah,
a defender.
yeah, and it's like if I'm Miles Turner, you should be looking at Giannis's game as a center, not as a shooting guard. Stop thinking like a shooting guard. Because ever since, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been watching a few of these Milwaukee games, particularly because I know what's gonna happen. Giannis is the only one that's gonna produce.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in the
yeah.
recent games, I still see Miles Turner just still standing behind the line, and
Yeah.
that's kind of a reason why you kind of lost last season against Oklahoma City when you were still in Indiana. Me and Michaela, we look back, we strongly feel like if Miles Turner had stepped up, Halliburton would not have had to carry so much
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
offense,
yeah.
and then he would not have had that injury, like the strain to his leg, and then end up being season ender. What do you think, Jordan? Do you think that would be the case? Do you think Oklahoma
For
City
me,
still would have won it if Miles Turner had changed his game a bit?
I mean, for me, yes, and some bits of no. Because if you look at it this way, all of the offensive load wasn't just on Halliburton, but you look at it this way as well. Pascal Siakam was also their primary scorers on that team, and then their third option was Andrew Nemhart or probably Neesmith. Um, but you do make a strong point on the fact that if Miles Turner had just became more aggressive, I feel like that play that especially Game 7, how you saw how Tyrese was playing with so much passion and heart, just trying to carry the team on his back. If only Miles Turner just stepped up during those moments, I feel like it would have been a different outcome, and that force that Tyrese pulled on his leg would have never happened. But yeah, it is what it is. It just shows you that despite whatever happened in the finals, Miles Turner just chose to not, improve his game from that point on, and just stay the exact same player he is here on the Milwaukee Bucks. Here I thought he was gonna be a better Brook Lopez, but Jesus Christ, he's even worse.
He's even worse. At least Brooks doing something. Like, do you see that last game when Brooks shot like 9 threes? God damn! And
Yeah, that night.
Yeah,
he was on fire.
He was on fire against Portland. But like,
Portland,
I think Brooke has been in these leagues long enough to know what shots to take, what not to take. Whereas Miles is still like, I'm still gonna chuck these up and hope for the best. But it's funny enough that even though he's left, I feel like it's karma for both the Indiana Pacers and Miles Turner, because Miles Turner hasn't changed. That's why Indiana didn't give him the money that he was asking for.
It's a good thing they didn't, give him a round of applause when he
when he
played that.
When he played back, they didn't.
Bullying.
Everyone's like, you know what's funny? You know when they were in the playoffs, and then he was like, "This is our city," being the longest tenure. This is what we do, blah blah blah. And then after they lost the next season, he's gone, and then it's like they got rid of that video, like the intro video. So it's like that was spur of the moment. But yeah, no, fuck that. But like the flip side is the karma for Indiana is that they didn't keep him because he was the same. But also, you guys have lost. You guys lost like, I think, what was it, like 13 games in a row?
Yeah, they're on a 13 game losing streak.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I'm just like, but we're not shocked. We're not, to be honest, we're not gonna lie. We weren't shocked that Indiana was gonna be so low because they lost these two key pieces, and and they haven't been able to fill that void. And it's like, it's kind of like what we say came into the, if you take out one star, how does the rest of the team perform? And that's kind of what we're trying to say to the fans, to the audience. Like a lot of people are like very optimistic. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I keep saying, the Warriors, the Lakers, they're very optimistic about these teams. But if you get rid of the superstar or someone that's helping in like, for example, a big three, if you get rid of one star, how does the rest of the team look?
Perform,
and is Indiana and Milwaukee is a clear fucking example. Right?
Yeah.
Now, before we go to the West, like I said about with Giannis taking on the Lakers about the size, I feel like people, like these other teams, are still not knowing what they're trying to build around their stars. Like, just from the bat, Golden State Warriors, I don't know what's going on. Anthony Edwards' team, I don't know what's going on. The Knicks, the Cavs. The only team that seems to know it all, even though we're not really paying attention to them, is the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons are firing, even though they're the exact same roster. The way that they're built is quite balanced.
Yep.
And I like the coach. I like that JB Bickerstaff's still in the league because he's a great coach. And if you noticed, just talk about Detroit for real quick. When he was with Cleveland, he's kind of like Nick Nurse. He knows how to make all the pieces around him work, like click. Like it's all well balanced. And so when he brought that same culture, same tradition over to Detroit, they finally have some leadership, some accountability in them to be taken seriously. Because we're looking at they're a young team and no one's going to take them seriously. But then when you have the right, all you need is the right leadership for like a well balanced team, good things can happen. And right now they're sitting, I think they're number one in the East, surprisingly.
Yeah, Atlantic Division, yeah.
Yeah, they're number one. So, I just want to talk about like roster buildings, because people still don't get what we're saying. It's like you need length, like you need size outside of shooting, and yeah. So we'll jump to the West right now. So I just want to say, like, what is going on with the Oklahoma City Thunder? So the Oklahoma City Thunder currently stand at 32-7. Um, they need to avoid losing one more game in order to beat the Warriors 73-9. Do you guys think it's possible, still possible? It's a long season. Do you think it's still possible to beat? And
Nope.
how do you see them? How do you guys see them coming out of the West or come playoff time? I'll leave it up to you guys. Whoever wants to start it off.
Well, just to keep it short for me, I think the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're looking strong in the playoffs. Of course, they're currently ranked as the first seed in the Western Conference. You know, they have 32 wins, 7 losses. That's pretty damn good. They have an implied probability of 99%. Like I've read this in the sources, like to make the playoffs. Like it's making them top contenders. So I think it's going back to the way we predicted in our past discussions. They I think they've kept consistent. I think they followed through with the game plan, and if if the season ended today, they face the winner of the second play-in matchup. But I think uh, to top it off, their young core, they're led by SJA, of course, and Chet Holmgren is expected to continue improving. I like the way they're playing, and with their strong offense and defense, they're poised to make a deep playoff run. Actually, in fact, some analysts like predict they'll repeat as champions. Okay,
Do you think that?
citing their youth, talent, and experience. But I'm gonna have to agree on that, man. I feel really strong about them becoming back-to-back champions, man. But and these are just predictions. Anything can happen in the
Yeah, I
NBA,
think
man.
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
about you, Jordan? Ever since the NBA Cup, I don't know if you guys saw when I was watching the Cup, it was a very intensive game against the Spurs, who
Yep.
I honestly I feel like is their kryptonite, Oklahoma City's kryptonite.
Mhm.
And ever since then, they kind of just lost a bit of like momentum. So, what do you think was going on there? And what do you think, Jordan? Do you think they're not going to break the record? Yeah.
They're not gonna break the record. Um, Start things off. Um, you know, the reason why I feel like they lost their streak or their momentum winning games is because they kind of had a reset when they got Jalen Williams back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was another huge. You know how they were starting with Mitchell. They were starting with Cason Wallace at the time. Then they were playing the two big guys, Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein at the time. Where now you're left to leave the power forward position open for Jalen Williams. And aside from that, the shots or the attempts he makes per game. Whereas when he wasn't playing, it was mostly Shea Gilgeous-Alexander taking shots, most of the shots that game, and all the other players are just being efficient, because like especially role players. You know how role players they don't have the green light to shoot that much field goals. Especially with those type of players, those type of role players, they want to try to make at least most of the shots that they take. Whereas with Jalen Williams, like there's so many games where I've seen him take up at least 15 field goals, 18 field goals, and probably make like 6 or 7. But there's some games where he's kind of sufficient. He makes 50-50 field goal percentage. But yeah, like the way I've been seeing him play with him coming back, it's just another adjustment. I'm not saying they play bad with him on the floor. I'm just saying that they just have to adjust. So it's why ever since the NBA Cup, they just started going downhill again and slowly climbing back up. Um, Today's game, didn't get to watch most of it since I was tuning on the Lakers game.
That's all good.
But
That's all good.
yeah, with watching the second quarter of the Memphis and Oklahoma City game, I just noticed that you know they were starting really slow, and my head's like, ah, there goes the record. But then again, after losing twice in a row against the Spurs, the record just disappeared. Like there was no chance in hell they were gonna able to beat the 73-9 Lakers Golden State team. But today's game, it shows you that Oklahoma City Thunders are still a contending team, especially coming back from 21 points to beat the Memphis Grizzlies today. They're always going to be a scary team, especially in defense. If you watch today's game, especially that last possession Alex Caruso had, he was a beast. Like defense will always win championships, and Oklahoma City Thunder is always going to be known for their defense. But yeah, like you said with the San Antonio Spurs, it's always going to be a 50-50 ball for them because one, they're the exact same build as the Oklahoma City Thunder team, and second, they're also one of the youngest teams aside with Oklahoma City Thunder. So it's going to be a fun matchup to see in the playoffs, and I hope they see each other. But looking at it, they're 99%, playoff team. But for them to be back to back, if they come out of the West, yeah, you can guarantee that they're gonna be the champions for this season. But if they don't make it out of the West, whoever comes out of the West is never gonna win it all. Because I don't see any strong teams from the East, taking it away from the West this season. Especially how Detroit is a really promising team, but they lack the playoff experience. The New York Knicks, well, they're also another team, but looking at it, they just seem to always lose their groove against Western Conference teams. So I'm not really paying attention to who's going to be coming out or who's going to be winning it all in the East side, because I'm really expecting someone to win it all in the West this season.
So, weighing heavy on the Western.
We all said we've been saying this every episode. It doesn't matter who came out of the East. It's just whoever wins the West, it wins it all because they're just so competitive on that. They're so strong on that side. No, you're absolutely right. Both of you are absolutely right with Oklahoma City. For me to answer just off the bat, they are winning. They ain't tying shit. They ain't breaking shit. They're gonna just. I think they're just focusing on just trying to get everyone, make sure everyone's healthy. The offense stays smooth, is intact. The defense is what it is, and it's scary because every game I'm watching them, especially at home, the moment you drive in, there's always 3 or 4 bodies. It's just the way that they communicate.
Yeah,
it's defensively so scary. I wouldn't want to be in that court facing them because the amount of pressure that's there. So yeah, Oklahoma City, they're not gonna beat the record, but I do think they're in a run for the money when the playoffs kick in because I still believe in Denver or Houston as a threat to them. Even though those two are struggling a bit, I think come playoff time, if everyone's healthy, I just think watch out because the veteranship of Kevin Durant in Houston helps that team. And on the flip side, Jokic has helped with Denver's acquisitions, like I've said in the other episodes. My gut tells me that despite their dominance, I just don't think they might not repeat if they face one of those two teams. I don't mention the Spurs because, again, the Spurs are also a really young team. I just feel like they're young. They're like with Oklahoma City, except with Oklahoma City winning. With the Spurs, they're kind of on that same momentum. They're young, but they're rising. Just like Detroit, they're young and they're rising. We just have to give it a few more years. Because if we say right now, Spurs are a playoff team or they could win it all, we already, like, let's be realistic. I don't mention Spurs, even though they're number 2 right now. I'm not mentioning them because they still have a few more things to add. Like they're still working on a few things. Like who do we need to build? Like who else can we add to build around Victor and Harper and Castle and stuff like that. But I have been watching a lot of their games. They're very Victor. I love how Victor has been aggressively and in the paint. You've seen him; he's not
Yep.
taking a lot of threes now because
Mhm.
I feel like
He knows
people,
body.
I feel like Kevin Garnett and Monks and like everyone's telling him, you look fucking stupid if you're 7'3" shooting beyond the arc and missing them shits. Like you don't need that. Like it's very unnecessary.
Yeah. I
And
wish you could
so
put on a little bit more muscle. That's all.
yeah, and he has. And you know what's funny though? I don't know if you guys noticed in the games when I see big people matching up against smaller guys. Do you see that instead of posting up, they get the rebound and the basket instead of turning around to attack, they dribble it out and pass it and start the whole sequence again. Have you seen that
You play.
Yeah.
in a lot of games? And
Yeah.
if that's and Victor is not that. When he sees it, he just sees one thing, and that's the rim.
Yeah.
And I think that's what
Just simple.
is.
Just basic. Yeah. Just get up there.
It's just common knowledge, like common sense. You're bigger than the person in front of you. And that's kind of like the reasons, like to go back, this is the kind of reason why Giannis smacked the shit out of the Lakers because it's about the size.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
You know, for me, sometimes talent beats IQ. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
But it
does.
sometimes you have the talent. Giannis, he's pretty smart because he knows how to play tactically,
Yeah.
but when he needs to out muscle, he out muscles.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need both technical and muscle. Sometimes.
Yeah. Like read
Yeah,
the floor. Like read the floor. Like that's
Yeah.
that's an expression. Like, just read what's in front of you, or
Yeah,
read your surroundings. And 80% of the players that I'm seeing, they're not reading the floor. All they think about is I want to do the right thing, get the rebound, reset the system, instead of looking at the opportunity that's in front of you.
taking the initiative. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm like shit, man. Like I wish
Get it up there.
yeah, get it up there. I don't care if you miss it, just get it. Like Vando, for example, the Lakers game. At least Vando's doing something outside of being in the corner in the three, while everyone else is like Rui's injured and Austin Reeves is injured. At least Vando's not just a rebounder; he's actually trying to contribute compared to fucking Max Kleber or whoever they have in the roster. Like to be honest, I'm giving up on that on the Lakers. But anyway, we'll talk about the next topic and then we'll get to the last one. So the Clippers have been on a roll. Kawhi Leonard, I think, ever since the departure from Chris Paul, we all thought, you know what, Clippers are just gonna be there's gonna be a bottom team. They're just tanking it.
Yep.
Everyone's gonna go. Everybody's gonna go. And then all of a sudden, Kawhi goes on this fucking 30, 40 night rampage against teams. And, they're slowly getting momentum. They're slowly climbing into the West. Do you guys, can you see them in the playoffs?
For me,
I see them in the play-in.
I don't see them coming out of the West, obviously, but in terms of just for playoffs' sake,
Being in the play.
being in the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, they can make a run for it. Especially if Kawhi keeps up, his momentum and at this pace. You can see he's 29 himself. He has that. He has that hunger. He has that mentality back in him. And watching these past few games, highlights of him, I'm just really, really liking his game now. I just in my head like, where the hell was this when you had a prime Paul George on your team? And it just kind of disappoints because we're only seeing this now later on in his career, especially coming off a very long time recovery from his knee, which people said his knee is made of glass or whatever soft material it is. But it's really good to see him being so aggressive and those mid ranges. Again, like at this age of basketball, the mid-range game is dead, but I like the fact there's still some certain players who keep that mid-range game alive, and he's one of them. And for me to see Kawhi Leonard leading the team, it just shows you that he can definitely take you to the playoffs. And might I tell you, before he came back, James Harden was trying to carry as much as he can for the Clippers, and I like the fact that James Harden is showing he still has it in him as well. So this season is really interesting to see that those two stars still has it in them, and the fact that when people were inquiring towards those two after the Chris Paul departure, the Clippers made it clear that they still want to keep these two stars and build around them. Like knowing the fact that both stars have value and you can get so much more out of them from other teams. It's a fact. I really like the fact that they choose to keep this and see where it goes from here. But yeah, if they make the playoffs, I'm not gonna be surprised. As long as they keep up this pace and they figure out their identity as a team, they can definitely make the playoffs.
Yeah, for me,
just to keep it brief, the LA Clippers, they're currently, they're sitting at 11th place in the Western Conference, and like a 14-22 record, making it's making their playoff chances. It looks slim for me. Because
I agree.
The playoff odds are around. I've read from the sources. It's like 37.7 chance, 37% chance of making the postseason. If the season ended today, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. They
wouldn't be.
Oh yeah, no shit. Yeah. That's kind of the thing. Like I look at these games every day. When you watch the games, all I can think about is at the end of the results, the game results of that day, the standings change, and if they're final, if playoffs started today, how would it look? You have to think of yourself trying to be in the playoff picture every day instead of it's a long season. There's a lot of teams losing games very close. They think like we'll learn from this, but really you should really treat every possession
attacking. Yeah, absolutely.
As its last. Like I go back to the Warriors' struggles. Like they lost to the Clippers by 1 point.
Yep.
Right? And that tells me had the Warriors had done something earlier and then Steph would not have had that foul trouble trying to make up for it, they would have won that game. It's like those type of things.
Won, yep.
Yeah, it's like those type of things where you just have to. Playoffs is far away. Like everyone's too busy thinking about the destination. They're not thinking about the journey. They're not thinking about the roadblocks that are up ahead.
Yeah.
And Clippers is one of them. Is a team that I hate to see struggle. And the reason why I'm bringing them up is because you have those superstars. You have Kawhi Leonard. You have James Harden.
Yeah.
I wish they kept Chris Paul. I wish they still had Bradley Beal because these are high. Like everyone knows who these people are, and they're just too old. And I just hate to see them go down like Golden State and Lakers. I hate to see them, crash and burn like this. Like I'm still in the stage like. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we're still in that era where these guys are still relevant. It's just unfortunate they just don't have the right pieces around them.
Pieces, yep.
Like the only one that got lucky is Kevin Durant, because if Kevin Durant had still stayed in Phoenix, he wouldn't be in the position that he's in now, where he's like in the top 3, not worrying about trying to carry this team to get in the playoffs. Because look what happened last year with Kevin Durant. They didn't make the playoffs at all, and they had a really good roster, I believe. But outside of these topics, let's just throw some random ones out there. Like I want to go to the Golden State Warriors. Hot take: they're not making the playoffs just with the way that they're going. I think someone below just kicks them off. I just don't think it's fair for Steph to. It's always him.
Yeah.
I don't think. I'd rather he not make the playoffs at all than make it and then watch him get bounced out in the first round. Yeah. It's just not fair for him to see him go down like that. I'm a bit disappointed with the way that, because I predicted that with the acquisition of Butler and Al Horford, they got Anthony Melton back. I thought these pieces would help them stop shooting threes and attack the paint to help Steph. Instead,
yeah. No.
These motherfuckers are doing exactly what they were doing last year. They're doing the exact opposite of what I'm predicting. And Brandon Podzinski, every single time I say that name, Michaela says, motherfucker, what? Because every game, this motherfucker, there was a meme that was pissing me off. In 4 games, he averaged 6 points and like 4 assists or some bullshit like that in 20 minutes.
It plays like 25 minutes.
Yeah, and I was legit watching. I was about to watch the Milwaukee and Warriors game, And Michaela goes, turn this shit off. I already know what's gonna happen. The Warriors are gonna lose because Giannis is gonna get through every single one of them. Yeah, but like check it out. Even though they won, even though the Warriors won, it's just that she knew what going in. She knew what's gonna happen. The fact that the size wasn't there, that Giannis was gonna smack them. The only reason why they won is because Milwaukee's kind of a bit below them. And it was meant to like they're meant to. Yeah, turn that shit off. Yeah. She like straight up was like, why are we watching this shit? Like, why are we watching fucking the Lakers or we watching? Yeah, like she's like, let's watch Miami versus Timberwolves. Even though we know Miami's gonna get smacked, let's watch Ant like dominate. Like we're not watching this team. We're not watching this boring bullshit of shooting threes like around the world. Like let's just like I know Steph's like she's like saying like I know Steph's gonna be Steph, but damn the rest of I don't even know who the rest of the team is. But she knew Atenta like she knows the Greek freak's gonna come and give it to them. And then I'm just like every time I watch the Golden State Warriors, like I try to put it on, she's like, nah, we're not watching this. We're not. But I'm saying
how crappy
yeah. Because she's like she was like me. She said that Jimmy, we're not seeing Miami Jimmy in Golden State.
Yeah.
We're not. And because of that, he's become more passive like Draymond. Steph is the only one that stands out, and everyone else is trying to still find their way in. Like they can't. They haven't enhanced the game.
No, dude, they're not putting in a 100% contribution. I don't see it's more like 70%. I think.
Like Quinn Post, that every time I see that motherfucker on the TV, I just want to smack the shit out of the TV because he's attempting, like let's say he's attempting 7 threes a game. Every time they lose, I'm thinking he's gonna do something different. The next game, the exact same shit.
That's just stupid, man.
So that's what most of these teams are doing. Most of these teams are saying it didn't go in this game. Let's see how we go next game.
And it's exactly the same shit.
It's the same shit. That's the reason why Oklahoma City stands out. There's a reason why Denver and Houston stand. Like these teams stand out because consistency.
Yeah.
Whereas
they strengthen their weaknesses, bro, and they follow through.
They follow even if one thing doesn't work, they do something else. Like there's a plan B, C, D, E, F, G. These guys are still stuck on plan A. That they think if plan A works, we can move on to plan B. Like we can move on to the next step. They're still trying to
like if plan A doesn't work, try it again.
Yeah. If plan A doesn't work, instead of step as plan A, if plan A don't work, emergency like plan B, C, D. Instead they're like if plan doesn't work, repeat step 1. Like
hopefully.
And then it's just a never ending loop. And there's so many teams that are like that I'm just like, and there's the reason why Michaela's like, turn this shit off. We already know what's gonna happen. They're gonna chuck a lot of threes and they're gonna miss so many, and we're gonna see Jimmy pass. Like she broke down the game before it even started, and I'm just like, shit.
There's a pattern there, huh?
There's a pattern there, and that's kind of why like she likes to watch. She's a Minnesota fan. She's a Minnesota fan, particularly because not only is Ant-Man standing out, it's how he's dominating, but also how the team around him, they're trying to find ways to adjust.
Man.
But what about you guys? What about the other teams? Before we go into a quick break, what do you guys? Any teams that stand out to you that you like?
Teams.
Or don't like? You can
clearly see Minnesota's looking strong.
You can clearly see me like ranting about Lakers and Warriors. Like don't even get me started with those two teams because I had them in the top of the West at the start, but the way that they're built, it's just not it. So now I have to look at these teams that I'm not really interested in, like Minnesota. Like I'm not. I'm going for Matt. Like I like Ant. Like I want Ant to move up. I just don't think he has the right team.
Yeah.
All right. For the final topic, guys, I just want to talk about just off the bat, like the teams in the East or the West, like just the other teams that we didn't mention in this episode. Jordan, you mentioned something about the Knicks. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think's going? Like for me, the Knicks and the Cavs. Let's talk about them because those are the two teams we thought were going to be superior in the East with the
Yeah.
downfall of the other teams. What do you think
hmm
they're kind of off?
For me, with the with so like again, continuing what I said with the New York Knicks, I just like what I came to realize is the fact that you know they keep changing the lineups against different teams. You can see during the first 3 quarters of the game, there's always these different type of players on the floor sharing with these type of players. Like let's say 3 or 4 starters are playing with these certain people. Like let's say either Jordan Clarkson's on the floor coming off the bench, Tyler Kolek, Mitchell Robinson, Yabusele, and that guy's big. Um, it's just a matter of just mixing and matching different bench players with the star players. And for me, it's like other teams take advantage of those coming off the bench, and like it's hard to explain this, but you know how with your starting five, you know how to play so well with them, yeah. And like the way I see the Knicks is like they're just trying to keep experimenting on other players to see how well they can fit in with these certain group of people on the floor. And I feel like that's their biggest struggle, and that's where they're trying to find identity for the season. But looking at it, I'm not really worried about them. I still see them coming out of the East, you know. And of course, expect them to be number one in the East after the regular season ends. Um, and that's pretty much it I have to say with the
Yeah,
Knicks.
fuck
Jalen Brunson
Cleveland.
just being a good leader.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say fuck
But
Cleveland. Don't even bother
Cleveland.
with them.
Yeah, but no. But let's talk about Cleveland. Cleveland. I just don't know what happened with what do you call this? Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. These two bigs were supposed to be a really good offensive front court for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Just really disappointed how Evan Mobley kind of declined on his game, especially Jared Allen. But one more key player that they lost was sorry, what's his name again? The one of these Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome was a really good
Oh yeah,
player.
yeah. He's in Memphis now. That's right.
He was
He was the
carrying them in the
energizer.
bench.
Yeah.
He was a game changer right there for the bench. Like if the starting five was tired, he was gonna play as if he was the starting five. But yeah, looking at it, adding Lonzo Ball, it's just I've been seeing Lonzo Ball's game. It's just he's washed, man. It's sad to say, but the assist is there. He's always gonna give you at least 4 assists or more a game, but he's game chucking threes. It's just kind of pissing me off. Like he just keeps shooting that bitch. Um, it
Yeah.
just like I like the fact that he's trying to find his confidence, but like goddamn, at some point you gotta stop shooting that much. There was a game this year where he was like 1 for 9 in 3-point range, and the guy missed like 8 in a row before he made one. And like there are games where he plays 25 minutes, 20 minutes. It was causing eternal bleeding
Sounds like
in
Brandon
my system.
Bujeski. Sounds like Brandon
Yeah,
Bujeski.
the same.
Fucking
But the fact that they got Darius Garland back, it's kind of good. But still, when the whole starting five goes down, who are you gonna rely on? And to me, again, the bench was really complete when they had Ty Jerome last year, and I just don't know what happened to them when they came up against the Indiana Pacers. But the fact that they thought they were gonna become a better team this season is a complete joke. Because for me, as soon as they got rid of Ty Jerome, they just started going downhill, and then adding Lonzo Ball. I'm not saying he's a weak guy, but the fact that he's an injury-prone player. So you replaced a really decent player for an injury player. So like I really don't see them. I don't even like if they make the playoffs, they're not even gonna win. They're not even gonna win 2 games
yeah,
against any seeded Eastern team.
yeah.
They can go up against a number 8 team. They probably did win 2 games most. but they're not gonna be more. They're not gonna win more than 2. That's how I see them this
Yeah,
season.
there's a lot of things in the league today that just don't make no sense to me. It doesn't make any sense
Yeah,
to me. Like Detroit, for example, very young
that's a really
team.
yeah
Yeah, very young team. They're built. Let me start again. Traditionally, we say this in the episode. Traditionally, you need the starting five, and you need reserves
yeah
to support that starting five.
yeah
And Michaela has asked a lot of questions, and she's so into ball now. She now understands what a one is, what a two is, what a three or four or five.
yeah
What are their positions, what are their roles.
yep
And I told her for in the history that started the traditional starting five had traditional starting five reserves to back them up, and that's
yeah
why the champions are the champions in the past. In today's game, what the problem is, a lot of ones become twos, a lot of twos become threes, a lot of fours become fives. So what that means is a
yeah
lot of shooting guards are being moved to the small forward. A lot of small forwards are being played as power forwards as they get older, and a lot of
yeah
power forwards they find like it should be centers because they're quick, because they want to have speed and
yeah
and second chance efforts, but they sacrifice on the rebounding end. That's the type of shit that we're seeing. Cleveland is one of those traditional teams. New York is also, I could say, is built as part of those traditional teams. Detroit built as part of the traditional teams. It makes no sense to me why they aren't winning. And only thing I could think of was the stars that are meant to be stars are not showing up. They're not standing out. Like Donovan Mitchell. There was a game when the season had just returned after the playoffs, when the season just they were versing the Knicks. And I just the only thing I think of is if Donovan Mitchell says he stepped up and learned some new skills, that means he can use that for the playoffs. But when I saw him play the Knicks, he did exactly what he did last season, when he was just chucking
yeah
threes. Only thing he's worked
threes.
on is shot further, and that's not really a skill for me because come playoff time, are you gonna really do that in the playoffs?
No.
Man, it's just an Hail Mary attempt, dude.
There's a
Yep.
lot of fear. Whereas Oklahoma City, you don't see them chuck half court shots. You don't see them shoot contested threes. Everything that
Yep.
they do with purpose. With Cleveland, they're
Exactly.
just, it's like they don't know what their roles are, even though they've been in together long enough to know. That's
Yeah.
to me that makes no
I think that's
sense.
exactly what it is, bro. You just nailed it on the head. They don't know their responsibilities exactly,
Like
100%.
I was thinking like Donovan Mitchell as he was like since he became Cleveland. Over the years, I was thinking he was gonna be like in a Dwayne Wade type situation. Like he
Yeah.
struggles, but his the way he's built, he can kind of if he keeps moving up, he could be like a Dwayne Wade type character. Instead, he's a Trey Young. He's trying to be like he's ending up like a Trey Young, stagnant, just 3-point shooter, no leadership.
Yeah.
Just he's just the
You
name
know.
we know, but no one really cares about. Like he just doesn't make any noise, for
Yeah.
Cleveland. And with to your point, Jordan, with Ty Jerome being he's like the energizer for the bench.
Hmm.
What I thought with Lonzo when he was acquainted was he was gonna be a floor general more, but instead he's trying to be Darius Garland,
Yep.
which made no sense to me. So I think with Detroit, I think it just comes down to my predictions. I think it just comes down to Boston and Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals just off the bat,
Mm.
because I don't think those two teams are. To your point, when you said like they keep changing lineups, the Knicks, isn't that what practice is for?
Yep. Exactly. But the thing is, they use games as practice to experiment on these type of lineups.
Because practice is what the coach can look at, say, oh, I know his weaknesses and stuff like that. If you do that in games, you're telling the other teams what your weaknesses are out loud rather than privately in practice.
Yep.
I think that's what the problem is. Like, yeah, you're right. They're doing it practice in live games, for the whole world to see. And I think that's the problem. Whereas with Detroit, they already know their identity. They have their identity. They know what they're meant to do. They know give the ball to Cade Cunningham, everyone else, find your way to contribute, and they're doing exactly that. Boston too, even at the start, we were gonna say they're gonna lose a lot of games. They learned from that. They said, no, we're not gonna be that team that shits itself.
Yep.
And surprisingly enough,
Just,
they surpassed these two teams where they with the exact same team. They were top of the East last year. We thought this year they're going to be serious. Instead, they're the exact same team. If not, they've just slowly declined. So I don't know. I guess we'll just wait and see what happens off the bat. Yeah, just off the bat, I just think Detroit's doing well. Boston's doing well. Golden State not so much. Lakers not so much. OKC it sucks. It's just frustrating to see. I don't know what else to say. I'm really speechless with the East because
it's just to say this: the NBA is a total roller coaster. You can predict something today, but it changes tomorrow.
That's annoying. Like, because realistically, if these people knew to their size and knew what there was, that's all I can think of. If you knew how tall you are, how big you really are, if you look in the mirror, and you're facing like a smaller guy, don't pass it off, man. Shoot that bitch. I don't care if you airball the layup, just the attempt. For me, just the attempt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it is what it is. I guess we'll wait to see later in the season. All-Star break is literally just around the corner.
Yep.
I'm excited. Hopefully they don't become as boring as they have. But I'm just excited because after All-Star break, that means playoffs is around the corner.
Yeah. Even better.
Which is gonna be even better. But yeah, it's good to see you guys again. It's been a while. I miss you guys, and hopefully we can come back frequent for you guys. To those that are watching, and I really appreciate your support and you guys coming up to me and saying that you realize what we're doing. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Spread the love. Let them know what we're trying to do, and if you guys have any inquiries or questions, just hit us up and we'll try to make it happen. Once again, this is another episode of Hoops with JV. I'm Jad Vasquez here with my brother Jordan, my Uncle Lou, and we're glad to be back for 2026. And I hope to catch you guys in the next episode.
Yes, sir.
Nice.